just thinking, here you are, the fifth king of Egypt. You're a half god, once removed on your mother's side. You're a villainous pharaoh. And I'm just wondering, when it came, was it hard work becoming Ka-Mun-Ra, or whether it was easy as APU, whether you just thought, I'll just make this funny, I don't need to get deep here?
It was hard to decide how to do him. That took a while. We had a lot of versions of the character. Then once we locked in on what to do, it was fun and easy. And then wearing all that crap was a pain in the ass, literally. Pain in the ass, and head, and neck. This stuff is as fun as it looks. I mean, to play dress up and pretend and run around and scream and talk like this, it beats working, as my dad always reminds me.
Well, that idea too, that with a lot of your characters, like like Mo is a bad Al Pacino, Wiggum was a bad David Brinkley, became a bad Edward G. Robinson.
That's correct.
Lou's, a bad Stallone.
Yeah.
This is a bad Boris Karloff. I don't know whether you literally do look for a voice of a kind of famous voice that you can have a bit of fun with and say that would suit, or whether it just happens to fall into afterwards. You realize.
I do that. It's one of the things I do, and it often works. You find whether it's a famous celebrity or an actor or a family member or a friend or someone you base it on someone, and it's a good actor's trick. I do it a little more literally than most people do it, but I just thought, at first I was like, well, we can't do this. It was kind of a joke at the last minute. We threw like 6 or 7 different versions of the character on film, which Sean, I think, is going to put on the DVD, just this little weird camera test we did of a lot of different versions of the character. And then at the last minute, I went, what about Karloff? He was a mummy. Let's go there. And Ben really laughed at it. I was like, you should do it. I was like, are you sure? We were nervous about it the first week. We weren't sure at all. But that often means you might be on the right track. It should make you a little bit like,
There is that sense you're about to break into the Monster Mash any minute.
Exactly.
Just give it a moment.
Exactly. Yeah.
That notion too, that here you are, you've done a huge amount of work, and you've had your 4 Emmys, you've had your Screen Actors Guild, you've done The Birdcage, Mad About You, Huff. There's a lot of work that you've done there, but there's probably that sense in you that you just know, hey, that's the guy who does The Simpsons. Is that something that you're obviously very proud of, but I don't know whether it's always something that you feel comfortable with, because you're directing a movie soon, you've done your own short, there's other things you do, whether sometimes you feel, just have a look over here for a change. Don't always think this is me.
Yeah, honestly, sometimes. But the longer I go and the older I get, the more you're sort of grateful to be known for anything at all. And especially if you're lucky enough to actually get to do that work, which you enjoy. And The Simpsons is brilliant. I mean, it's such a nice thing to be associated with. I mean, I'm a fan of it. I love it. And I've always been a big animation fan. So no, the short answer is I don't mind at all. It's nice.
Well, I know, talking about this particular line of work, when you were 17, you got your first ever audition, you got it was like an Italian...
Well, you're prepared.
Hey,
you know all the facts.
But you were kicking a football around for an Italian commercial, which you haven't seen, but then 3 years after that, you were still looking for work. This idea that your mom, even though she worked for Columbia Pictures promoting movies in Latin American countries, your dad Albert still thinks, as you've said already in a way, this is no way for my son to be making a living. Surely he's kind of gotten over it by now.
He's definitely gotten over it. First of all, it's astounding. I think you remember more about my life than I do at this point.
If ever you have a blackout, you can call me.
Yeah, I'm going to look you up. My parents, they're huge fans of show business. So they're thrilled, but no one feels it's a sane idea when you want to start out and try it. Because the odds are so against it working out. But that said, my dad, even though he really didn't think it was too good an idea, he was very supportive. But I think he thought, if he'd give me enough rope, I'd hang myself and I'd get it out of my system after a few years and then get a real job.
We mentioned The Simpsons, and we really have to deal with the fact, I spoke with Matt Groening and Al Jean last year for when the movie came out, and there is a notion with anybody, whether it be the Beatles or Elvis and all that, when as time goes by, there's that sense, is it as good as it used to be? And I think, you don't have to be a comic book guy to sort of get into that frame of mind of thinking I'm comparing constantly to my earlier experience and how I felt. Matt had a great line of defense about how your perception of it changes and your relationship changes with it. But I don't know, for you, if there's a sense of just even recognizing that, okay, that's a constant thing. People are always sort of suggesting, it's not as good as it used to be, or there's always that debate about where's it going.
We get that a lot about The Simpsons, but one of the amazing things about being on something for 21 years is you get a real wisdom and a sense of perspective. Honestly, when we were in season 11, we'd get a lot of complaints about how, season 6 was really, 5 years ago was when we really had it. And season 17, we get, season 12. It always seems to be what was 5 years ago, 6 years ago was, what the show will never be again is original. It'll never be new. It'll never be breaking ground in the way it did the first, 5 or 6 years it existed. So in some sense, it's destined to repeat itself. But other than that, I can just from the inside out, different people have run it over the years, and there are different eras of it, and also we get on to sort of different storylines and different. For me, I enjoy it most the more free I get to be with certain characters and the way free to improvise, and so I kind of judge it that way, like what kind of creative experience it is. But to me, the scripts, every year we seem to do 3 or 4 genius ones, 3 or 4 ones that don't quite work, and the rest are somewhere in the middle, and most of them have a good laugh in them. So it always is that way to me. I don't know if there's any difference.
I've got to wrap up now, but being over from Ireland, I've got to deal with the Irish kind of portrayal on them. And then you've got like Snake Whacking Day used to be to get rid of the Irish, and Ned Flanders won't use the Ned Flanders won't use the I word. And in your parade, you have like the drunken Irish novelists of Springfield, and there just tends to be a stereotype that we're sort of drunken, artistic people who tend to get into a fight. I kind of feel, though, we do get a rough deal on this show, and Al has said that there's a lot of Irish people in there. It's all done with the best possible love and intent.
Yeah.
But I do feel that maybe we're due some sort of an apology. Otherwise, I have a bottle with me full of beer, which I will hit you over the head with, to prove that we're not an Irish stereotype.
I will officially, as a Simpson, I will officially apologize to
maybe
the
in
Irish
the voice
people.
of Mo. I think Mo would be much more appropriate.
Look, Ireland, we're real sorry about how we portray yous guys. I especially love yous, being a bar owner.
You had to get it in the bar. Rock and roll. Very nice to talk to you, son.
You too.
Yeah.